Hello, I'm Nädine. I'm one of the commissioners on the Justice and Peace Commission. I'm going to ask a very simple question. What do we mean by Europe? Because Europe has changed its identity so many times, but we only actually became nation states in reality in the 19th century. Europe has been ruled as a unitary element by force. First time was the Roman Empire, followed quite swiftly by the Byzantine Empire, Frankish Empire, the Holy Roman Empire, parts of it by the Ottoman Empire. Please do not forget that the Ottoman Empire actually reached the walls of Vienna. First French Empire. It was following the defeat of Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo that great internationalist Tsar Alexander I of Russia said at the conference of Aix-la-Chapelle, we need a united Europe. We need a united European army. We need to look out for one another. In other words, Europe was sick of war. Unfortunately, nobody listened to Alexander I of Russia. They killed him instead. It would have been good if they had, because what then followed was a century of warfare. And out of that century of warfare came the nation states. Modern day Germany, modern day Italy, the division of Spain and Portugal, the realignment of the modern day Benelux countries, and the establishing of modern borders for some of the Nordic countries. Places like Finland, we forget, passed through Russian hands, Swedish hands, and at one point Polish hands. Europe was a work in progress. We had 2 world wars, and after the Second World War nobody wanted war anymore. Finally they woke up to it. Winston Churchill, that greatest of all great Englishmen, the one we all voted for, said we need a United States of Europe. He said that in 1945. A decision was taken to establish the Steel and Coal organisation, the idea being to take control of those elements which were needed to make weapons out of the control of the nation states. And gradually it grew. And we developed eventually, via the Maastricht Treaty, into the European Union that we have today. 28 states, not the 6 states that joined. And of course, part of the problem for the UK with Europe is that originally the Europeans said, we don't want you. Charles de Gaulle said, no, 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 famously echoed by Mrs. Thatcher several decades later. But eventually we did join in 1973. We had our first referendum a year later in 1974, and we decided to give it another go. And we should decide to give it another go now. Because remember, the reason that the EU was founded is to bring an end to war. And as a result of that very brief history of Europe, I could go on, but I won't, we have had the longest period of pan-European peace ever. There have been wars in Europe since the foundation of the EU, but there's never been a war involving a member of EU state against another member of the EU state. So when Yugoslavia broke down, and we had the wars in the former Yugoslavia, that was a war which was brought to an end by the combined forces of Europe. We are safer together.